Guys, we have an Intellivision Amico update. I have not talked about the Intellivision Amico for probably over a year on this channel. It's been a minute, but this is actually some pretty major news. Apparently, a developer in, I believe, Europe that had access to a dev kit to an Intellivision Amico wanted to sell one on eBay. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that watch me that have no idea about the lore behind Smash JT and the Intellivision Amico. So I'll give you a quick TLDR of I actually visited Intellivision headquarters, met with CEO Tommy Telerico, became pretty good friends with him in finding out about the games for this console. And overall, I thought this was going to be a very promising thing for the future of gaming, at least for families with young kids. So I invested $10,000 into it. Turns out it ended up being a complete sham at the end of the day. Nothing ever came out. The company has pretty much dissolved into nothing. Tommy was booted out, and it's a shell of its former self. But it doesn't mean I haven't kept eyes on this moving forward, because I cared about this a tremendous amount. Like I said, investing money into it and playing it hands on at Intellivision headquarters, I genuinely felt like an attachment to this. Like I got it. I felt like there was a market for this, that maybe if they played their cards right, there was a chance for it. And it all completely fell apart. And when I turned heel on the company and came forward to the community and told everyone that I feel like I failed them, I I made a big mistake. I I fell for something that I thought was going to be a good faith endeavor, ended up being vaporware. They sent a few of these consoles out to some of the Amico shills that kept pushing forward with Intellivision even after everything was falling apart. I did not get one because I decided to say I cannot continue to back this company because I feel like they're doing people wrong. They're not being transparent, they're not being honest, and I can't keep pushing forward with this. So they never sent me one. And I was kind of hurt by that because I'm like, with how close I was with the company, how close I was with Tommy, how much money I invested into it, and how hands-on I really was with all of this. I thought if anything, it would be like a good faith. Hey, we know you turned heel with us, but we're still going to send you one anyways, because at the end of the day, we want to stand by our values of what we promised you. And we knew you wanted one of these really bad. You invested all this money into it and you were close with us. We're going to send you one anyways. Nope, never happened. So, of course, when this showed up, I was very curious about it. This is from The Escapist. They said, wait, who tried to sell an Intellivision Amico on eBay? And this is just surfacing now, but this article was from September 25th, my birthday. They said, this is an odd one, so bear with me. Someone from Germany has listed an Intellivision Amico on eBay, but then pulled it after no one snapped it up for the whopping 1,250 pounds or euros, whatever that is, $1,460, so almost $1,500. The buy it now price was $2,220, which I got to be honest with you guys, not that I have that kind of money to throw around, but if I had seen this listing, I would have seriously considered, just as like a piece of gaming history and a piece of like my life, to obtain one of these things and be like, yep, I have the Amico. It didn't even garner any bids before the listing ended, and the person behind it remains a mystery. So why is this even remotely important? And didn't Intellivision die in the 1980s? Well, depending on how chronically down the video game hole you are, the Amico probably means something different to you. It was originally conceived as a new casual gaming machine, something to take the place of the Wii after the Nintendo gave up on the casual market in that capacity. The Amico was to feature two remotes controls with screens on and its own suite of games, originally announced in 2018 and set for October 2020. The console has yet to materialize. And this is, again, a deep cut lore with Smash AT. This goes way back to the near beginnings of the channel when I was first starting up and really caring about the retro gaming community in general. I felt like this could appeal to basic retro gaming and families. I was just starting my family out. I was like, this is perfect for me. What starts as an investigation into the oof sound comes from the Roblox morphs into a diatribe and explanation of who Tommy Telerico is. It's an incredible video and one that I recommend just to get a real understanding of who Tommy Telerico is. Now, this video from H Bomber Guy is one of the best videos I've ever seen on YouTube. It's already garnered millions upon millions of views. Highly recommend checking it out if you have not seen it already. But it will give you an idea of who this Tommy Telerico fellow is. Someone who I thought I knew who I was dealing with. And then it was one of those, oh, it was just a facade of someone telling me, trust me, bro, this is who I am. H Bomber Guy's like, no, bro, I did a deep dive on this guy, and he is nothing like he portrays himself to be. He is the modern day snake oil salesman. Might be a nice guy. And I know there's a lot of people out there in gaming that still love him. But he did me wrong. And I unfortunately have nothing good to say about him. The way he handled the fallout of the Intellivision Amico situation falling apart. But that is neither here nor there. I want to get to this video from good friend of the channel, Pat the NES Punk, who I haven't talked about for a long time, but shout out to him who has me blocked and clearly can't stand me. But honestly, like, this is actually a very good video from them uncovering the situation. So let's hear about
Intellivision.
A bit of an intro here. So let me skip ahead to the part of the console because they're going to give you the background of it I just gave you, but here we go.
eBay. So I believe originally, I don't have the original. I should have put it on archive.org, but they relisted it. I think originally it was like $1,400. Buy it now originally, euros, for the console and like a gray controller earlier and like a more finalized looking black controller, a black console. It was like 1,400 euros. Buy it now. Then it was relisted for like 1,900 euros. Buy it now, plus shipping. And then it got purchased like immediately, like a week ago.
So what happened? Because that was the original article from The Escapist, and we have a follow-up article from Time Extension, basically saying how this went for sale originally. No one put any bids on it. And then like a month and a half later, it went for sale again, and someone bought it up right away. But I found what was curious is how the person who was selling it, and they talk about this in their chat. I'm going to fast forward to the part where they talk about, this is what I really want to focus on. There's apparently a clause in the sale that they would not sell it to anyone in the United States, and they would not sell it to someone who is a quote unquote hater, which I guess at this point I would qualify as a hater because I realized what I was dealing with this company was not what I thought they were. Ironically aligning me with these two that can't stand me.
The full question, but this is the response from the seller. This is not how it works, I guess. There is no need to sell it below a fair price. I want to make sure to give it into good hands. Not interested in selling it to haters. I still love the Amico idea. The dev kit I was working with, it was part of the payment of the company I was working for several years ago, since some invoice could not have been paid for due to several reasons. I don't exactly. Who are you? I'm not smelling toast or having a stroke. That's just the.
It's translation. So basically, what is trying to get across here is this guy's saying he's a dev in Germany that had an Intellivision Amico and decided to sell it for upwards of almost $2,000 at the end of the day. And someone bought it. And we don't know who owns this now, but ultimately, I guess I want to leave this at this. I think for me in particular, what matters is I was sold a bill of goods by this company. I was promised that this was all proprietary parts and that they had everything set up on it and that they were going with all the internal mechanisms. And when I went to Intellivision headquarters personally, and I played this myself personally, I even actually have a video on that. Hold on.
That all we're debating.
But these are the things you do in the final
Yeah.
you know,
Final
they're
stages.
90.
So I was being promised that this was basically done. They're 99% done. They're in the final stages of putting it together. It never came to fruition. This was the tumbler machine where they said they were testing it to make sure it could deal with the damage. This was the finalized product of it. This was the battery tester of it. This was the headquarters itself. Here's a quick little tour of Tommy going through it.
Playing.
Oh, yeah.
We set up a whole arcade room. This is Bill Fisher's office. He's started with Intellivision in 1981. And so some of the games he worked on are Space Spartans, Space Hawk, and B-17 Bomber. But yeah, we got a nice conference room here and kitchen area.
So it's a very nice headquarters that they had. Large, huge. And I couldn't help but think, like, in retrospect, that this was legit. Tommy was pulling me in here to do this video so that he could showcase to investors that this is like a quote unquote legit operation to see if someone would buy them out. That's my assumption of it. But when I actually played the Amico,
change your orientation. You have to, you're going to have to hit the pause button and then you'll just switch it.
So this is me. This is me and my finger moving around on it and the connection of it. Just I was proving to people that it was real, because I was being told this was real and people were saying, "Oh, it couldn't possibly exist. This isn't real. This is fake." And I'm like, "No, I'm going to make a video. I'm there in person. This is real." Okay, if I record part of this?
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
So I was recording it, showing it. I guess my point for bringing this up is I want to know what the hell's inside of one of these, because turns out they never ordered any of the parts or anything. Nothing was mass produced or anything. So as far as I know, I was being told that this was what the Amico was going to be. But in reality, most likely what was inside this thing is probably just a Raspberry Pi. And that's really it. A Raspberry Pi running Android, a Qualcomm Snapdragon. That you can literally buy off the shelf yourself and put inside of a casing, which ends up turning out to be, if that's the case, just a straight up fraudulent lie. And I'm sure there were possible legal proceedings I could have done with this company. It wasn't worth it to me at that point, because I'm just like, this company, they have no money. They have nothing they stand by. To me, it's just a life lesson that I learned, that not to fall for someone who pretends to be my friend in the future. This is the eBay listing, by the way. Sold for 1,250 euros. Life lesson, valuable life lessons that I learned personally. But I really want to know what the hell's inside this thing. So I wonder, whoever purchased this, if they're going to actually open it up and showcase it, or if it's just someone in Europe that is just a big video game fanatic that just wants to put it on their shelf to collect. I guess we'll find out in time, but that is kind of like a quick trip down memory lane with the Intellivision, and how I was fooled. The wool was pulled over my eyes with that situation. I learned a lot from it. And I feel like, in a weird way, it made me a better person, but it's not without, life is not without getting your cuts and scars along the way. And I learned a lot from that experience. But I guess we'll see what happens in the future. But for now, I'm going to leave that one there.